Hey, it's Jeremy from OpticHouse.com. So, I don't have a particular theme for this video, so I figured I'd just freestyle, talk a little bit about the page I'm working on, and just some thoughts and observations on it as we go along. So, let's dive into it. Now, in the times I've been posting drawing videos, I cannot remember if I've ever given this specific tip, but it's something that I have found is very significant and really opened things up for me when trying to ink, and it definitely helps for just drawing in general, is rotating the page to follow your natural drawing arc of your hand. And I'm sure you've noticed that when you make strokes in certain directions, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, when you draw a line, to the right, curved one way versus curved upward versus curved downward, vertical lines versus horizontal lines. There's some lines that naturally have a little bit more strength and energy when they come out of your pencil as opposed to others. Now, it does behoove you to have as much drawing control as possible, no matter what direction you're drawing in. But when it comes to inking, and you're trying to get the ink to flow out of the brush or pen or whatever device you're using at just the right speed, to control your line quality, your width, the snappiness of the line. All of those things can really be helped by rotating the page as you go along. It also helps when you're trying to, I'm working from top to bottom to try and keep my hand out of the area where the ink is, but it's still handy sometimes to rotate the page. You can get at a certain shape or form with just the right angle. And it also reminds me of a story. I feel bad throwing someone under the bus, but not so bad I'm not going to tell the story. But I had a art teacher back when I was in high school, and I was working on an illustration for our class, and she comes over and looks over my shoulder and notices that I have the board rotated so that it's upside down, and I'm drawing kind of in the upper right-hand corner. And she tells me, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm rotating it so that I can, draw this part. And she's all, well, you can't do that. That's cheating. And she goes on to say, well, what happens if you're working on a large painting on a big canvas? You can't just rotate that up, upside down. And it's funny because, first off, depending on how much you want to work at a certain angle, you can rotate a piece upside down. Rotating an entire large canvas is only going to be a problem if you're not going to be working on that corner for a long period of time. If you're only going to do a couple of brush strokes, it's stupid. But if you have a reason to work on a piece upside down for a long period of time, you're going to do it. And I wish I'd known more about animation when I was in high school, because just the whole fact that in animation studios, the drawing tables are made with discs that rotate so that animators can turn drawings around, keeping them locked onto the drawing board so that they'll be at the right register in the right position, but they can rotate their drawings around and draw at any angle they want that's convenient for them. Walt Disney had figured out ages ago that it makes more sense for artists to work from the natural drawing arc. And while I really liked this art teacher that I had in high school as a person, as a human being, that one thing infuriated me, because it's sort of, I don't like to think of artwork with limitations. I like to think of, I'm one of those people where when you tell me something can't be done, the first thing I think is, well, how can I do it? Or why shouldn't I try doing it that way? And especially telling someone in high school or a younger artist who's really impressionable, no, don't do this, which is one of the reasons why I never like to say I'm doing a tutorial, this is the right way to do it. I always like to say that this is how I do it, this is why it works for me. You should always experiment and try and find your own way, no matter what anyone tells you. Always be open to finding your own path. That doesn't mean you shouldn't learn the traditional methods for doing things, but it's like, I forget who it is, but the author of The Five Rings, which is a book on leadership that kind of follows the lines of Sun Tzu's Art of War. One of the big things that he mentions is that a samurai or a warrior should master all of the martial arts, not one particular one. And I feel kind of the same way about art, in the sense that you don't want to master one technique. You want to kind of master all of them, and then you've got them all in your arsenal, and you're not dependent on them, and you can adapt as you need. Now, mind you, when it comes to art, there's a whole lot more in terms of things to learn and techniques to learn, so it might be kind of ridiculous to say I'm going to learn every artistic technique out there. But I do like the idea of being open-minded to the sense of trying to learn as much and learn as many different approaches and ways of doing things so that you're operating from a place of strength. If you choose to do things a certain way, it's because it is just that. It's a choice. It's not a limitation. You're not doing it only because it's the only way you know how, or you just don't feel comfortable doing the other things. You're doing it because you feel that this is the best way to represent and execute the ideas that you are trying to express. Wow, I didn't even mean to go off on a mini rant. I had all these other things I was going to say about this comic page, but hell, looks like I found my theme for this one. You know, it happens sometimes. I get on a jag, start going, and for as much as I think of myself as a quiet person who really doesn't talk that much in my day-to-day personal life, sometimes I get going on a roll and can be a real blabbermouth. And also I was going to say, yeah, so rotate your page. It'll help make your inking a little bit easier. And for those of you that work digital, I'm sure that if you work digital, you've been using the rotate function in Photoshop, but I've only recently been working on a Cintiq at work, and I am using the rotate page function constantly, and it's essential. So if you haven't tried it before, definitely start messing with that. That's it for now. Check out my website, optichouse.com. If you enjoy these videos, please share them. Also, sign up for my weekly newsletter to get a free digital download and see what else I'm working on. Go be creative.